நம்ம கஷ்டப்பட்டோம். நான் ஸ்டாண்டே ஒரு மாதிரி டவர் நாளைக்கு வரும். அது ஏன்
மிக்சிங்லாம் வச்சுருப்பாங்க எல்லாம் அங்கே.
Series. Today is a very special day, 12 December 2012, and we have a very special speaker. I was just telling, we have been trying to bring him here for you guys for a long time, and just like the person today has birthday, Mr. Superstar, he has also come today. So it's a great opportunity. I invite our esteemed speaker, esteemed member, Jagannath Ramaswamy of Crystal Advertising, to give a small intro about the speaker.
Thanks, Karthik. Well, I'll just read bits and pieces of this. But to do full justice, I think I'll need about 20 minutes to speak about it, which will be running into his time, so I won't do that. M.G. Parameswaran is the Executive Director and CEO of DraftFCB Ulka, which is a member of the India's third largest marketing communication organization, DraftFCB Ulka. Now for the more important. Ambi, let me tell you, this has been the largest gathering we've witnessed in the AdClub tea meeting Gyan series for quite some time. With a subject like that and a speaker like this, I'm not too surprised. Well, I addressed him as Ambi, that's what we all know him as. He's a chemical engineer from IIT Madras and an honor roll management graduate from IIM Calcutta. In the 3 decades that he's been in the industry, he has handled assignments in marketing, sales and advertising with companies like Rediffusion, Boots, Yellow Pages, before he sort of settled down in DraftFCB Ulka, which is about 20 years back. He's had a key role in the transformation of Ulka advertising into DraftFCB Ulka Group, with interests in media, consulting, digital advertising, healthcare, and so on. He's handled numerous brands, including Digene, Brufen, Santoor Soap, Sundrop Cooking Oil, TCS, ICICI Bank, Wipro, Tata Indica, and so on. He has contributed a lot of articles to premier business publications. He's conducted seminars, branding workshops for Indian and MNC organizations and industry bodies like CII, FICCI, AIMA, etc. He's spoken at international forums including the Kellogg India Summit at Northwestern University and Cornell University. He's been guest faculty at several business schools in Mumbai, at ISB, IITs, and of course IIM Calcutta. He has presented papers at international conferences of Association for Consumer Research. Ambi is an author. He has 6 books to his credit, including FCB Ulka Brand Building Advertising, Concepts and Cases, Understanding Consumers, Building Powerful Brands Using Consumer Research, Building Brand Value, 5 Steps to Building Powerful Brands, which won the 2007 NTPC DMA Book Prize. All his books are used in marketing and advertising education across business schools in India. Ambi is involved in several industry organizations like AAASOI, CII, IAA, and he has served as the president of Advertising Club Bombay, perhaps the biggest club of its kind in the world. I don't know whether it's as active as AdClub Madras, but certainly it's of governors and of IMC in 2007, and he received the Distinguished Alumnus Award from IIT Madras in 2009. And most importantly, his biodata starts as Dr. N.G. Parameswaran, which I'll tell you now. He has successfully completed and got his PhD from Bombay University, and his thesis work was in the area of religiosity and consumer behavior. So here is Dr. N.G. Parameswaran, Ambi.
Yes, lower, it's too loud. Okay.
Degrees.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Jagannath, for that very warm introduction and that nice quip about Rajnikant. I actually have a card with his autograph on Rajnikant. That's where our commonality is. I don't know. Okay, I'm actually delighted that there's such a large audience because the topic I have is a fairly serious topic. It's not a frivolous topic. So I'm actually delighted that so many of you, many seniors here, as well as many old friends here who come to listen to what little I have to say. I'm also very happy that there are a lot of young people here whom I think will have to lead the industry forward in the future. I served in the Advertising Club Bombay as president, and we used to have this concept of a tea meeting where we used to invite people to come and talk and have it. But unfortunately, I tend to agree with you on that. AdClub Bombay has kind of abandoned the concept of a tea meeting some years ago. So, in fact, from IAA we're thinking of reviving it. Visiting leaders to listen to what they have to say. So, my presentation should not take more than an hour. It is a sensational or so-called serious topic, which is client-agency partnership, because we keep, we keep getting asked, is it becoming too one-sided? Are we being treated? Our agency is being treated very, very badly today by clients. What are we doing about it? What is the industry doing about it? What is the associate doing about it? So, before I launch on to my views, I thought we should start with a Dilbert cartoon. Okay? And some of you may have seen it on Facebook or on various social media. So here is Dilbert telling his mom, as usual, I worked until midnight last night, mom. So mom says, well, at least you made some extra money. So Dilbert says, no, I don't get paid for overtime. Well, at least it was important work. Well, not really. My boss made me change my PowerPoint slides, but the changes made them worse. Well, at least you're prepared for your meeting. Oh, well, it was cancelled. But that's okay, because the project isn't funded anyway. So you worked for free to worsen a presentation for a meeting that won't happen for a project that doesn't exist? Yes? Oh, you must be in advertising. There's another old joke about, I'll go on with jokes, so no, let me get on with the topic about can't make fun of advertising, we have to talk serious stuff. So, see, we keep saying that, we agencies are no longer treated well, but the truth is, advertising is not on the CEO's agenda anymore. That's the real truth globally. And this is what, John Philip Jones, very famous professor at Syracuse, he retired last year. Before that, he served for many years with JWT in London. In fact, last year at the Goa Fest, we had invited him. And he came and delivered a talk. he's 85, and this observation of his is extremely apt, which is, and this is from an article he wrote in the year 2000, Harvard Business Review, saying the greatest judgmental engagement with a company's advertising takes place at the lowest levels of a company's management pyramid. The job is done by the least experienced managers. They can select things that they want to pass to higher levels. This is the extent to which they are empowered to say yes, which means they can't say yes. All they can say is, yes, you can show it to my boss. Right? On the other hand, they can reject things on their own initiative. They can say no without reference to their superiors. This is a plague. This is the problem which faces us, and sometimes, we need to confront this. So very often when, I train my people, so I say, look, if a product manager says, no, I don't like it, yes, I will rework, I will do something fresh, but let me present it to your boss as well. This simple trick often works, because, a lot of times the product manager has no idea what his boss wants, and he's trying to second guess the boss, saying, my boss normally doesn't like humorous ads, okay, so do something else, but the boss for once may like the humorous ad. Okay, so problem is this, that the product manager level, any product managers here? Okay, I've served as a product manager for 6 years of my career, so I'm speaking with some amount of experience. Product managers can have the authority to say no, they don't have the authority to say yes. That's unfortunately the truth. So, but let's look at it this way. Are clients having a very good time today? Compared to what it was 10, 20 years ago? No. Unfortunately, clients are having a very tough time, right? One, if you are an American company or any part of any multinational, you have a quarterly reporting and you have to deliver your numbers every quarter. So there is huge amount of pressure to look at your numbers, review them every quarter, right? And according to a report, the forced resignation has shown a threefold increase over 1995, right? And globally, underperforming CEOs are removed well before their term. Interestingly, I was on the flight from Bombay and I was sitting with Mr. Ramdurai of TCS, and he got discussing how Vikram Pandit, he was supposed to have done very well. He saved Citibank, right? He walks into the board meeting, the board tells him, "We are letting you go." Right? He didn't know about it. So this is the reality, that the average life of a CEO or CMO could be as low as 24 months. So there is a huge amount of pressure on them to perform, and therefore they continue driving this pressure down the organization. Right? And what is triggering this madness? And we know there is a huge amount of pressure which the CMOs put on advertising agencies. One, I think the big problem is the procurement. Right? Today, I don't know how many of you here deal with procurement departments. Right? The advertising selection is done by the marketing team, and then the marketing team tells the agency, now you sit with our procurement team and negotiate. Now, procurement team treats you like they treat the vendor of office clips and office files, right? So, what is the lowest rate? What rate? What is how much you pay your people, etc., etc., etc. So, why is this become so important? Because today a lot of companies are spending more money on advertising than what is their net profit, right? And there are enough companies which spend 11% of their turnover on advertising, and their net profit is probably 6%. So the amount of money spent on advertising is become huge, and therefore procurement has come in to control the cost. The other thing is the whole thing about timesheets. I don't know how many of you here fill timesheets. Timesheet is a big thing, right? And so if you fill timesheet, it's assumed that you've worked. They could be playing games, but filling timesheets. But there is a timesheet madness, and clients feel new technologies are coming and the agencies are too slow to understand and embrace them. And they feel that agencies are letting them down in terms of understanding technology. And the last, I think this is a big problem with big clients, and may not be that big a problem in Chennai, but there is a huge problem of multiple agencies fighting over the territory. I was talking to a client of mine who said, I'm going to rationalize my digital agency. So I said, look, each brand is aligned to a particular agency. So how are you rationalizing digital agency? He said, oh, on this particular brand, your brand is okay, you're doing everything, but on that other brand which you guys don't handle, I have 6 agencies doing digital work. I said, hello? He said, yes, there is one search agency, there is one display agency, right? There is one agency which is doing viral stuff. There are 6 agencies which my guys have appointed. So I said, look, it's weird. He said, yeah, it is weird. So there are just too many agencies, and there is huge amount of turf and territory. People are fighting with each other all the time. Okay? So clients are under pressure. Clients are under pressure from their CEOs, from their board. Okay, they are under pressure from their audit committees on how are you spending your money. So, but clients, I think somewhere also sensible, and this survey is very telling that only 15% of the clients feel they can evaluate an agency. 85% of them say that, look, we actually don't know how to judge my agency, what my agency is doing, right? And they also feel open that we need to figure out how to evaluate agency. And they're saying, look, yes, measuring agency performance is very important. 93% say yes, but only 15% say they can evaluate the agency performance. Right? And often the problem is assessment is one way, which is the client is evaluating the agency. The other evaluation not happening, and there is no external benchmarking. I mean, most of us who work in large companies, we do organizational health surveys. Understand that you may get particular scores for your company, but if you don't know what other employees or other companies are scoring, you may actually kind of beat yourself to death. Like, we started doing these surveys 10 years ago, suddenly discovered, on emoluments we're getting, 6 out of 10, as against other stuff we're getting 7 out of 8 out of 10. So we said, look, why are we getting 6 out of 10 on emoluments? And we found that every company, as far as salary is concerned, every employee believes he's underpaid. Right? So when someone gives you 6 out of 10, well, that's not too bad. Similarly, clients, when they're rating agencies, they also need to figure out how are other clients rating other agencies. Otherwise, you're just doing a one-sided game here. And some of the smarter clients actually have a two-way evaluation process, where the client evaluates the agency evaluates the client. Okay, and they actually sit and discuss the numbers. And these numbers go to the CEO, and they often go to the global headquarters. And in the global headquarters, if they find that a particular office, let's say the India office, is getting very bad ratings from its agency, which is probably part of a network, the India office is called and says, what are you doing wrong? Why is your agency not giving you a 7 out of 10, which is the average we're getting across the world? So, unless such systems are put in place, you will always find that evaluation is one-sided, it is very biased, okay, and there is constant pressure on the agency to deliver more for less. And this leads us to this kind of a destructive cycle, which is we are unable to command what is rightfully ours, okay, which leads us to a point that we are not able to invest, and we are not able to add value. And when you are not able to add value, you are not able to command respect, okay, and then we lack any kind of value addition as far as the client is concerned, and we have a very fragile client-agency relationship, which is always on tenterhook. You don't know when the relationship will break down. Okay, so therefore, am I saying that agency system is dead? That we are all doomed to die, and this whole concept of an agency is now on its last legs? Well, I strongly believe that agencies have had a great ability to reinvent themselves. Okay. Agencies have been in existence for well over FCB, Food Core and Building, which we are part of, is about 132 years old, right? JWT is, I think, older. Agencies have been able to reinvent themselves. And I found this very interesting chart. I'll take you through how agencies have gone through what we call evolution over the years. So the first is, in fact, 1840s, 1860s, when agencies were basically space sellers. Okay, we were actually part of newspapers. We used to sell space for newspapers. So we were advertising agents for newspapers. And that's where we got our name, agencies. From there, we evolved into a branding era, which was in the 1870s to 1920s. That's when Food Core Building was born, JWT was born. Okay, we started creating trademarks, and we started adding value to not just selling space, but we started creating ads. Okay, and then came the era of push, which was very, very aggressive. You know, all the bad types of advertising, you know, miracle cures, etc., were heavily pushed. And this is the period 1920 to 1949. And 1950 started the Mad Men era. And how many of you watch this wonderful series called Mad Men? I think it comes on Star, or does it come on Z? It's about the era of the 1960s and 70s, where Madison Avenue was full of these great guys who used to have a great time in office. Every office had whiskey to drink, etc., etc., and a lot of women. Okay. And that was the time agencies started creating the big idea, and they started becoming partners to CEOs in a serious way. Right? So you started your life actually peddling space as a space seller for newspapers, and then you moved up the value chain, and you actually started building brands, and you started partnering CEOs. And then came the unbundling era. Okay, then agencies started breaking up. You started having creative agencies, media agencies, etc., etc. Procurement department started coming in, and we started getting unbundled into specialist units. Okay, which does media, creative, interactive, direct, etc., etc. And then now in the global arena, we have the internet age coming. Internet is challenging TV for dominance, and you know, today more and more specialist units are coming, and today the big agencies are really holding companies. Right? IPG is actually a big agency. Okay, so is WPP. Okay, so is Publicis. Those are the agencies which then have individual units which offer everything. So in fact, we are now, you know, coming full circle. We are now in a stage where we will evolve into providing full service in the next 5 or 10 years. That is happening. So while agencies are under pressure from clients, agencies are reinventing themselves. They are changing, okay, with time. And if we go back and say, look, what do top clients want from their agencies? And I am a little biased in this. They talk of effective campaigns, 56%, outstanding ideas, 48%, strategy, counsel and insight, 45%, creative that win awards is way down, 13%, agencies that implement client decision, 10%. Now this is big because clients don't want agencies which will just jump when they say jump, or sit when they say sit. They want agencies to push back, to question, you know, what they're recommending, right? And if you ask what are the agency's big problems, and I'm not talking about the 1,000-pound gorilla which is in the room, which is what fee do we get or what commission do we get, but the big problem is constantly changing assignments. So you keep, it's a moving, you know, you go there, product has changed, assignment has changed, and then the other big problem which we have is revolving door in clients. I mean, I remember at a particular time, the account executive and the account supervisor and the agency will change, but the product manager is constant. But today, both are changing at a constant pace. So there's some clients we're working with. In the last 4 years, we are working with the third head of marketing, right? And not long, just 4 years, third head of marketing. And this is common. This is not unusual. It's common. There's a constant churn in the client level. And this puts a tremendous amount of burden on the agency. You started relying yourself for one kind of thinking, and you started to learn how to sell to this person. He's gone, right? And you have to unlearn. So I have a little tip which I will share at the end, what we probably need to do. So clients are saying this. It's that agencies bring strategy and creative thinking to the table, and we don't want cheaper versions of ourselves. Okay, if you're going to just come and repeat what I tell you, then I don't want you. I want you to stand up, question what I'm saying. I want you to add value, right? And in a sense, how do agencies get selected? The fundamentals are still very much the same, which is, it's a tough chart, and I can email it to you to read, but it talks of basically three things. Ideas on how we engaging with our customers, interaction, which is how do we create interaction with customers to drive success, and intelligence, which is how do you bring quantitative techniques, how do you bring accountability into our relationship. So basically, clients are selecting agencies on these three tenets, which is ideas, interaction, and intelligence, right? And unfortunately, and I think this is true with, Ganesh Baliga here and I, we sit on 3 years of my managing committee meeting, and the problem is, we as agencies have kind of narrow cast ourselves. We have just kind of, in fact the term creative agency always galls me, right? Because we just kind of narrow cast ourselves into people who make 30-second spots or 100 cc ads, okay? And that's a huge problem. So from being partners to clients, we become vendors of creative. That's a huge downer. And Kinjal Med and I, we wrote a book called Brand Building Advertising, Cases and Concepts, and we've created a one-day workshop. We do it in business schools. We start at 9:30, we finish at 5:30, and at the end of the workshop, we normally get feedback. So we talk of some fundamentals of creating good advertising, what we call the 7 questions, which you need to answer, and then we take them through 6 different cases. And we did a workshop at SPJ last month, and when you're going through the feedback form, a lot of times these feedback forms are pretty interesting. You get nice stuff. And one of the guys had written something very interesting. Said the myth, quote, open quote, that brand managers decide on positioning and ask agencies for ad, close quotes, dispelled. So B school students think that agencies just execute the ad which a brand manager gives them to do. Okay? And that's fault is on ourselves. We have kind of positioned ourselves that way, saying we are quote unquote creative agency, therefore give us the brief, we'll give you the ad. I think the problem starts there. So what I'm saying is, pull back. Suppose we pull back from here and we say no, let's pull back and let's look at what we can do, what we can be. Okay? And what we can be, we can technically be the strategic partner to our client. These are not big words. It's possible to do this because a lot of clients want this. This is Abby Constam, who did great work at IBM. She was the chief marketing officer. Says, I see the agency as the extreme opposite of a vendor, a true strategic partner. Or David Harker has put it very, very well. He says, brand strategy needs a single architect. The advertising agency is often a strong candidate for this role. In fact, the best brand strategists may be agency personnel. Why are we better equipped to be brand strategists than, let us say, the market research agency maybe, okay, or the PR agency, or the event agency, right? I believe we can play a more meaningful role as a brand strategist because as agencies, we interact with consumers through different filters. Okay, at one day we are talking to them about a car, other day we are talking to them about a soap or a cooking oil or whatever. So we are in fact in a position to understand how the consumer is changing, much better than a lot of our clients. Because a lot of clients look at the consumer as biscuit consumer. Right? They don't look at the consumer and saying, look, this person is buying a biscuit, but she's also buying a soap, she's also buying a sari, she's also watching TV. They don't look at all that. She's buying soap, she's buying a biscuit. How does she buy a biscuit? But how she's buying a soap may tomorrow affect how she buys a biscuit. Or how she buys a malted beverage may affect how she buys a biscuit. So, but we are uniquely positioned to understand how the consumer is moving, how her relationship with brand is changing across a whole gamut of products. So we believe we can be, brand strategists. And the other important thing, and I think what we can do as agencies, is we have passionate quality talent. Okay. At one time, we used to think that clients attract better talent, agencies don't attract very good talent, and so I think I don't believe in that. Okay. I don't believe that at all, because the best talent from the best B schools don't come to marketing anymore. Right? They all go to Wall Street. 60% of the IIM Calcutta, Jagannath, our alma mater, right? 60% of them go to either consulting, actually 60% go to investment banking and finance. Right? So it's a balance 40% which go to consulting and marketing. So, I don't think the delta between the talent on the client side, the marketing side of the client side and our side is not that big. The more important thing is, if our people are passionate, and I'll try and tell how we can be more passionate. If our people can be passionate, okay, then we can make a difference. We can make a huge difference to what we do to the client. So we have passionate quality talent, we have focus on consumer knowledge, and this is critical, and then we bring creativity for business defining ideas. We are probably the only industry which harnesses creativity in a systematic way, whether it is ideas, music, art, etc., etc. We harness it to build business. And if we can do that, then we can move from being creative suppliers to becoming solution providers. Now this doesn't happen, this doesn't happen by just my saying it. Okay? Obviously you need to have creative, you need to have passionate talent, you need to put in the hard work, and then you can then move up the value chain and actually become a solution provider. So if you can become solution provider, let's go back to the destructive cycle. Destructive cycle was inability to invest, inability to value add, inability to command respect, inability to demand our price. Right? So this destructive cycle, if we have the will, can become a virtuous cycle. A virtuous cycle will have focus on business strategy. Right? What is the client's business? How can we help the client achieve their objectives? We'll then move to better value addition, and better value addition will move to higher remuneration. Higher remuneration will help us attract and retain better talent. If we can do all that, then we can build strategic partnerships through superior consumer understanding, and we can kind of broaden the base of what creative we're talking about, and we will give guaranteed value addition. Now, so the destructive cycle can become the virtuous cycle, and I don't think this is kind of woolly-headed logic. Okay, this can happen in a small town like Salem. It can happen in a big city like Bombay, and in a city like New York, you can be on a destructive cycle. Right? So just because in New York doesn't necessarily mean you can live. In fact, I believe, and we debate this in 3SFI, I believe that in India, advertising agencies can still speed dial the CEO of a company. CEOs know us. This is not the case in many parts of the world. Right? We are still in a situation that we are on hello terms with the biggest CEOs in this country. Okay? And that's a big plus. So we can actually change the cycle. We can move from a destructive cycle to a virtuous cycle. Okay? And this in a sense ties up with what top clients want. They want agency to be credible, to reinvent my whole business. Right? I'm not seeing that kind of big thinking. Companies are doing it, but not doing enough, is what what she's saying. And if we can live this promise of true partnership, what happens? Okay, so history is full of such great partnerships. Okay, Albert Lasker was running an agency, and I'll tell you a little story. Albert Lasker used to run an agency called Lord and Thomas, and that Lord and Thomas later became Food Cone Building, which is now DraftFCB. This book, The Man Who Sold America, is a fascinating book. It's like his life story, and it's about how he partnered clients. And there are many stories in this. I'd recommend pick it up and read it if you can. For example, Sunkist, which is a Orange Growers Association of California. They were wanting to sell more oranges, and they were the orange sales had plateaued off. So they called Albert Lasker. So Albert Lasker, based in Chicago, went to California, met them, and then he figured out he had to change the paradigm. And he said, look, people can eat only so many oranges. So he said, what if I make them drink oranges? Okay. And he went and actually hired a designer to design an orange juicer. Okay, and this orange juicer design, Sunkist paid for, and that design was given free to all appliance manufacturers. And orange consumption shot up by 25% running for the next 2 decades. Now this is business thinking, right? Which is to say, look, you need to change the way you do business. This is what you have to do. Okay, and I'll help you do it. And then Albert Lasker went on to build a huge agency. Okay, and finally he kind of gave away his agency to 3 employees of his, and he retired and spent all the money he had in medical research. Right? There is very famous, those of you Google, there is Lasker Awards. Lasker Awards are for medicine in America. They are the most famous medicine awards. Okay, so he made his money here. Actually he made a lot of money selling Lucky Strike cigarettes. So probably he felt guilty about it, and he set up this huge thing. And that's just one. Rosser Reeves, invented USP. Marion Harper again built a great agency by building partnership with client. David Ogilvy's book is full of these partnerships where he could pick up the phone and talk to clients. And therefore, admin were not just clever wordplay, but they were actually partners to their clients. The clients could call them, ask them for advice, right? And say, look, I have a problem with my product sales. Can you come and help me? This is something which therefore adds value, and therefore the client will pay you what you want, right? And this is not some remote thinking, and there are enough stories in India, and there are enough stories in Chennai. Okay. I remember when I was running Ulka here. I remember, I think Cabin Care launched Forever, right? And Forever had saffron in it. The idea of putting a saffron in the cream was given by the agency. I mean, that's a breakthrough idea, a product idea. Nothing to do with advertising. And an agency gave that to the client. Right? That's the kind of stuff which we can do. And question is, probably we're not doing enough. Okay. So let me now try and take you through what I believe are 6 learnings, of my, what we do at Ulka. This is no way to say we are perfect. We are far from perfect. But there are 6 learnings I thought will be useful for all of you to kind of appreciate and figure out how you can apply it in some small way in your day-to-day life. First one is, we need to invest in our clients' business. I don't think we as agencies do enough of this at all. By invest, I don't mean buying into the client's company shares, though you'll be amused to know that Albert Lasker owned at one point of time 26% of Epsilon. before it was sold to Lever Brothers, he owned 26% of the company, and he actually used to invest. He actually owned a lot of his client company shares, large numbers. But I'm not talking about that. I think we need to invest in understanding the consumer, understanding the retailer, understanding the market, and that's the investment we need to do. That's the R&D we need to do. And so, two small examples. I mean, we have a huge stake in our group working with the auto consumer. So our client didn't ask us, but 10 years ago we actually did a study across India, talked to 350 automobile customers, and wrote this thing called the Auto Mood, which is about how the Indian consumer interacts with automobiles, right? And then 4 years ago we repeated it. So we called it the Auto Mood 2. Now no client asked us to do it, right? But was our client very happy to see it? Yes. Did this mean, therefore, my clients rated me a little better in terms of what value I can add to his business? Yes. Right. Now, a few months ago, we were having this debate in our office saying, how do you value add to a client? How do you give him inputs? And all of us come across clients who are very nasty. Right? There are some clients who say, yeah, I know everything. Tumko bola, khada ho. So, my colleague who heads planning in Bangalore came with this lovely theory called client-agency relationship is like Eric Burns, or was it this parent-child, adult, child-parent, right? Or that's Eric Burns stuff, right? Transaction, TA, transaction analysis.
I'm okay,
right? Okay, I'm okay, yeah, great. So he said, look, what if I apply client-agency relationship, the principles of I'm okay, you're okay. So he said, look, Ambi, there are some clients who actually look up to us as God, right? They actually think we had a lot of value. Yeah, So before you even think of launching a product, you call the agency in, ask them what do you think. So that's where agency is parent and the client is child, right? Because ab batao kya karna hai. And there are a lot of clients who do that. Okay? Then of course there is and in those kind of clients, you're going and talking to them is value addition. You won't spend half a day talking to them. They feel very thrilled. They think it's value addition. And if you do some little dipstick research, they'll be very happy. Second type of client is the parent-parent client, where yeah, I know what I know, you know what you know, let's talk. Okay, so that's good relationship, parent-parent. Right? How do you demonstrate value to a parent-parent? Stuff like this. Stuff like Auto Mood. Yeah, okay, this is good. You guys have done this. I like it. Thank you very much. When are you doing the next one? Great. Then you ask a question, look, what about this particular client? He thinks he's the parent and I'm the child. How do I demonstrate value to this client? All that he says is, I briefed you for that ad. Where is that ad? Okay. So we brainstorm, for a couple of hours. Say, look, how do you demonstrate value to this channel? And when we realized that one thing which even the toughest of tough clients appreciate from an agency is hard work. Okay. And which is the hardest type of work which an agency can do? Any guess? Market visit. Market visit is something which the client understands. Okay, so I turn around and tell this toughest of tough clients, two of my account executives went and spent the last week across these 4 cities, small towns, visiting 40 dealers every day, and this is the report they have. Will the client say, yeah, I want to see that report? Chances are highly likely. Okay, once you've done that, the relationship changes a little bit. Okay, it still doesn't become parent-parent, it is still parent-child, but a slightly grown-up child, right? Parent-teenage kid, okay, teenage. I will not stand up when you walk into the room, but I don't expect you to stand up when I walk into the room. So, if we think, and if we can sit and say, look, how do we invest in understanding a client's business? Can we categorize our clients and figure out, okay, we have these 6 clients, we have these 8 clients, these clients we can do value addition very easily, these clients we actually have to do hard work, then that's something which we can invest in, right? And it's not, and let's be honest, I mean, I've been a client, one thing which agencies hate to do is market research, even today, right? They don't mind, nowadays they don't mind sitting in the office going through Facebook, they don't want to go into the market. I remember we had done a big launch for a client earlier this year, and I was asking the account director, how did the launch go? So the launch went very well, sir. So, yeah, have you done any market visit? I said, परसों में supermarket जाके देखा. So then I used choices. Executive is the biggest client you have. You guys have not even gone and spent 2 days in the market to know what's happening, how is the retailer reacting to the new pack, what is happening to merchandising. Sir, we are very busy, no? Busy doing what? Facebook? Twitter? And believe you me, if you tell your client, boss, for 2 days, I'm not going to be available, I'm going to do market visit, the client is going to say, go ahead. These things can wait for 2 days. Right? So I believe the first thing is investing in the client's business, investing in understanding our client's business, investing in understanding our client's consumers, our client's channel. And I think a lot of agencies, us included, not doing a great job in this. So that's really the first lesson. The second is the briefing process. Right? Are we questioning the brief? Are we questioning it again? So this is an example. I'll not take you through the whole case studies. This is Tata Teleservices were launching Tata Docomo, and we were sitting and talking to them, and they said, no, we want to make it a very youthful brand. They've done that nice logo from Wolf Hollins. What a very youthful brand, exciting brand. So we said, look, that's fine. You are the 8th brand in every market you're going to enter. 8th. Why will any consumer look at you? So then they said, look, so what do you guys suggest? So we said, look, can you give us something different, some product innovation, something different. So they went back to the drawing board, came back and said, look, there is only one product which we think we can give, which is this. We can do per second pulse. So we said, what do you mean? So instead of the pulse being 1 minute, 60 seconds, we can do a per second pulse. But we feel it's not a great product because BPL tried it in 2 markets, didn't work. Tata Indicom tried it in 2 markets, didn't work. So we don't think it's a great product, but that's the only product we have. So we said, okay, that's a product. And let's go back and see what we can do with it. Okay. So from there came the idea of this entire concept of per second billing. And then we launched, Tata Docomo with this, advertising, which you might have seen, but I'll play just one ad in the series.
When life can change in seconds, why pay in minutes? Pay per second. Only on Tata Docomo.
So this entire strategy came up because the agency stood up and questioned the brief, saying this brief is inadequate. I need a new brief. I need a new product. I cannot advertise a youthful, exciting brand as the 8th brand in the market. You will fail. You will fail dramatically. It's another matter. This created, Docomo went on to be the #1 brand for several months, and it changed the whole industry. Right? The industry became per second billing. Per second billing was coined by us. There's nothing like billing because most of the consumers are prepaid consumers. You don't get a bill. but we coined this whole term of per second billing and pay per second. This came up because you had the guards to stand up and question the brief of the client. So that's the second simple rule of thumb. When you get a brief, just question it. Okay. Is this the best brief the client can give, or can there be a better brief? Can there be something more which the client can tell you about his product? Okay. The third is an interesting story. We were called by this client. Their leading competitor is an ethical client called Gyan, and their main competitor, Jelusil, had gone OTC. I'm talking of 98 or so. And so they wanted to go take their brand OTC, and they had hired Accenture, and Accenture had recommended that you should also go OTC. So they called and said, look, we want to take our brand OTC. So we did our analysis, and we actually went and told them that it makes no sense for you to go OTC. Okay, because your brand, by going OTC, your advertising spends will be less than the additional sales you will get. So it's a 50 crore brand, advertising spends would have been 5 crores, okay, and the additional sale you would have got is 4 crores. Okay. So you're going to be losing money. So unless you're looking at a 5-year horizon, don't go OTC. Now, this is scary because here was a chance of us to make money by doing ads and releasing that, but we said no, it's our integrity at stake and we need to hold the mirror to the client. Finally, I think some wise advertising man said, if the client is going to waste his money, he might as well waste it through my agency. But we said, let's first tell him the truth the way it is. After that, if he still wants to waste his money, he can waste it through our agency. Okay, but in this case, they were actually shaken up because Accenture had recommended they should go OTC. So they said, look, can you repeat your presentation to Accenture? He said, fine, by all means. So we went back and we repeated the presentation and they saw the logic. And then we said, one day it will go OTC, but not today. Right? And the entire OTC plan got pushed by 5 years. And 5 years later, so 5 years we had an ethical division called healthcare, so they used to do the work. And then 5 years later, we went to OTC and we believe we did simple advertising. I mean, this is not rocket science advertising. Right? Simple advertising for an antacid, which is a very strong, did reasonably well, in the long term. And when we thought, Jelusil will overtake Gyan, Jelusil yet to overtake Gyan. Jelusil went OTC 6 years before Gyan went OTC. And Jelusil is yet to overtake Gyan. They are still, I think, 15% smaller than Gyan. So in this case, we said no to short-term revenue because somewhere we felt long-term we will end up benefiting. Okay. So a lot of times we as agencies have this tendency to grab whatever money is on the table and run. Sometimes it's worthwhile leaving the money on the table and say, look, I'll come tomorrow, this money would have grown by then. Okay, so that's the moral of that story. The fourth is that in advertising, there are no easy options. Okay. We have to stick our neck out if we believe in something. Okay. And if it means your neck gets, so be it. That's why we are in advertising. We are not in some corporate, white collar job, right? So, this is a client of ours which we've been working with Santur for well over 20 years, and we made this film, and the marketing team endorsed this film, ran this, they love this film. But I'll play the ad and we'll talk about it. When we made the film, the marketing team liked it, we liked it, but someone senior in the organization said no, this is not a hard-working film, and we always make very strong hard-working films. we should not run this film. So the marketing team came up to me and said, look, now you have to stick your neck out. So I said, what about you guys? And they said, no, our neck is a little more valuable, your neck is a good one to do. So I said, okay, okay. Anyway, I'm going to be 60 pretty soon. So I said, okay, I'll stick my neck out. So I went up to the client and said, look, and I thought I pulled a good stunt. So I said, look, I know you don't think this is as per our normal template. We think it's a nice film and we're trying to attract a new set of consumers into our brand. So take it home, show it to your wife, show it to your daughter. If they don't like the film, call me and I will quit advertising. So he said, what? Yeah, I'll quit. Done. I'm gone. So he said, you must be joking. I said, no, I'm serious. He said, okay. So he took it home and showed it to his wife. And then Sunday evening, I normally try and do a few hours of emailing Sunday evening. So Sunday evening I opened my box. The mail from him. And he said, you don't have to quit advertising. So he didn't lose a sense of humor. So I said, you don't have to quit advertising, but I think you have to make some changes in the film. But believe me, this is a revised film. This is a film after the changes. And if I showed you the film which we gave him to show to his wife, it's exactly the same. You can't make out what big changes we made. But the fact is, I think he felt if the agency is willing to stick its neck out and go out on a limb, let me give it a fair chance. Okay, let's get feedback from a different set of people. And normally you have the story of the client's wife didn't like the ad, right? This is the story of the client's wife loved the ad, and the ad ran. But more important, I think it brings to light that you've got to have a great level of trust and regard for each other. The client, you have to have the trust and regard for the client, and the client has to have the trust and regard for you. I mean, he could have easily sent a mail saying, my wife hated the ad. Ambi, bye-bye. He could have done that, no? He didn't do that. Because I trusted him not to do that. I trusted him to actually get genuine feedback. Which is what he did. And he said, you don't have to quit advertising. So that was good. So again, are we sticking our neck out enough? And I think there is an interesting, I think Mr. Damodaran, when he was speaking to the IIT audience, I think last year, made an interesting comment. He said, disagree, don't be disagreeable. And I think there's a huge difference in the semantics we're talking about. You can disagree with the client, but don't be disagreeable, which is, we agree to disagree. Right? So you have a very healthy argument. At the end you may say, sorry, okay, we don't agree, but yes, we are still friends, we'll do it. So we have to move into that mode if we have to live the value addition paradigm. Okay, so let's move to the next story, which is for a client called Naukri, and this is the first ad we did for them. So I'll play the ad and I'll tell you the story. Really risky advertising. Okay. If your TV was running, you've gone to the kitchen, you won't know what ad it is because there's no word mentioned, there's no audio at all, and there's some music playing, right? And if you miss the last 5 seconds of the ad, you miss the brand name. Right? So when we wrote that script, our Delhi office, Sanjay Sharma, wrote that script, they presented it to Sanjeev Bichchandani. And our team there felt this was very, very risky advertising. Here is a guy, first generation entrepreneur, who had got whatever $5 or $10 million funding. Okay, we're going to recommend that he put in $1 million on his advertising. Now this is risky stuff. So we knew it was risky stuff. So this was presented to him, and Arvind Barle, my colleague in Delhi, told Sanjeev, look, Sanjeev, this is, we believe, is an excellent idea, but it is risky. Right? It is pretty risky advertising. Okay. So if you are uncomfortable with it, we will rework. Okay. But we think this is great because it's based on a very clear insight that people don't quit jobs, people quit their bosses. Okay. And if someone has found a job, then he's able to give it back to his nasty boss. Right? So it's based on that insight, and that will appeal to the new generation, educated, aspirational youth, and we will be able to work. However, this is not for the faint-hearted. And as luck would have it, the client said, yes, I think we should go ahead and do this. Because I am an entrepreneur. I've stuck my neck out running my business. So I want to take risks. And this is a good risk to take. Let's give it a shot. If it doesn't work, fine. You guys will give me something better. And then the rest is history, right? I mean, we've done 8 or 9 ads. The company went public 5 years ago. We made our client very, very rich. We didn't take too much. I mean, we're not Albert Lasker. We didn't take too much equity in the business. I think we got a little bit. But client became very rich. And today, a lot of .com companies, we work with Jabong, we work with Make My Trip. All that based on this, on what we did for Naukri, which is probably one of the biggest successes. And it's not burning cash, right? It's very different from many of the online companies are burning cash. It is profitable. They are making profit. They have a balance sheet. It's a listed company. So, so you need to recommend stuff which is breakthrough. So you cannot play safe with your recommendations. And the 6th lesson is really something which many agencies don't do a great job, which is they allow the client-agency relationship to operate at only one level. Now, if you operate at a one-level relationship, you are always going to be on tenterhook. So you need to build strong relationships across different levels in the organization. And I'll show you an ad and I'll tell you how. So, we've been working with Z now for 8 years, and it's based on the fact that at different levels of the organization we take feedback and give feedback. Right? I mean, it's often that at least once every 2 months the CEO and I meet out of office just to talk. Right? And the team is a great team. Team is there in and out every day. Okay? But at different levels we are engaged. Right? At the account director level they're engaged with people there. At the CMO level, our vice president is involved. At the CEO level, I'm involved. So if we can, on all our key clients, provide multiple level bridges, right? For the client to give feedback, take feedback. For us to give feedback, take feedback. It happens both ways, right? Client can give feedback, you can give feedback, saying you're changing your strategy too much, or my team is finding it difficult. This helps us to build the relationship. And if you do all that, I think you can then live your promise. You can define what your agency stands for, and you can live that promise every day. Okay? And then you can truly be a strategic, partner to your clients. And we in Ulka, we try and we define our own role as making brands famous, making clients rich. That's what we're there. We create brand wealth for our clients. So we celebrated our 50 years last year, and we made a AV, which is about 6-7 minutes. So let me play that. Hopefully audio will be okay. Otherwise, let us boost the audio a bit. To end with a quote from Professor of Creativity at Harvard Business School, I think our value to clients will be in exact proportion to our ability to take information, to take knowledge, and through a series of creative acts, processes, transmute knowledge into unique, audible goods, services, and systems. In our case, advertising. So that's what we need to do, which is to harness knowledge and try and add value to our client business. So thank you for your patient listening, and I hope you learned something on this very important day, Rajnikant's 62nd birthday. Thank you very much. Yeah. So if you have any questions, I'm told we still have. We have 5-10 minutes to. We have 5-10 minutes to handle questions. So.
I have a question.
Yeah, please.
When I was hearing your biodata, it was very interesting that you are from IIT and IIM. And I just wanted to know, at that age, what made you come in advertising?
Ask Jagan. He wants to answer the question.
We were fit for nothing else, I suppose.
No, I don't think. Yeah, that's actually the simple answer. That we actually, we actually thought we got scared of engineering. We got scared of, and I got scared of chemical engineering, thermodynamics, and all that. So I jumped out and I went to IIM Calcutta. And those days, those were the days before McKinsey and all that stuff. So after IIM, I got I did my summer project with 3D Fusion. I liked what I saw, and then I joined advertising. Yes, I think if I joined somewhere else, I would have made, I started on a salary of 1,400 rupees. If I joined someone else, I would have got 1,800 rupees. So it was not a big step down. So I took the job, and so I don't know. I think it's individual choices. Really, at that time, a lot of us joined advertising. A lot of us,
Ambi, I don't know. Bob Ulka, who founded this agency, I worked with him. In fact, he used to say that he was in Merchant Navy, he was in that, and then finally joined advertising because he got himself unfit in every other thing.
From Unilever, he was head of market research for Hindustan Lever. Then he came and ran the agency. So I think those days we keep lamenting that the IIT IIM types are no longer coming into advertising, but there are still a lot of people. I'm IIT IIM, Jagannath IIT IIM, Shashi Sinha is IIT IIM. So there are quite a few of us who are very much there. So.
Actually, my reason for asking you question was our organization, that's AdBureau, and I'm a chartered accountant. Our investment companies work. And I should tell you that I really experienced something very nice, very innovative. It was really good.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Okay, thank you. You work for which company, ma'am?
No, this is AdBureau.
Okay.
AdBureau Limited, and basically I'm a chartered accountant, but still they told me, no, you please go and see how it's going to be good.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Can I ask my question?
Yeah, no more questions on my CV.
Having a market research background. So I'm having a 68-year-old partner with me actually. I'm a market research consultant. So you mentioned much things regarding market research, how much it is important so far. So I had done several projects for FCB Ulka also regarding automotive project for Tata. I had done several FGDs also, and quantitative research also. So in your point of view, currently ad agencies, how much they are, much they are following market research, they are incorporating market research in their strategies.
Well, I think it's difficult for me to answer that. A lot of us do research, okay. A lot of us build research as a part of our planning process. A lot of times you do your own research, the client may have done his research, but you say no, I want to do my own research. Okay. So I think most large agencies have a pretty strong strategic planning team. The strategic planning team is to do its own independent research. It may be 2 groups, okay, it may be talking to 10 consumers. But if a smart, intelligent account executive or account planner talks to 10 consumers, that's worth a hell of a lot. Or he comes and attends 2 groups, it's worth a hell of a lot. I remember attending a group, which was in beverage. I attended a group in Calcutta a couple of years ago. And we were doing a group on some beverages, malted beverages. And there were women there talking about whether we could launch a brand for some client aimed at older men, right? And suddenly, one of them were talking, and then suddenly I realized that there are households where the household's dietary habits change because the head of the household has a problem. So she said, my husband is diabetic, so we use very little sugar in our house. We are Bengali, but still we use very little sugar. So I said, shit, it's an interesting insight, right? So I think agencies should do more, if you ask me, should do more. In fact, I don't know if you've been following brand equity does story on pre-testing of ads, right? And then I was quoted in that, and then a week later I think Rama Bijapukar wrote a very nice follow-up piece to the article, right? So we need to be careful that research doesn't become cookie cutter. The danger is it becomes a cookie cutter, and therefore it is used as an excuse to say yes or no. We need to rise above that and understand how we can incorporate research into our planning, and therefore use it more intelligently, and not as consumer like this ad, consumer like this ad. That's meaningless, right? Thank you.
Good evening, sir. My name is Venkatesh, I'm a filmmaker from Chennai. Of late, there has been a tendency by various brands, they want to get into niche clubs and other things like super brand listings and other things. Whether they have a regional listing or even a national listing, do you feel that getting into exclusive clubs like a super brand listing will make a big difference for the brands?
Well, there are, I think, 3 or 4 such, there is product of the year, okay, then there is, super brands. See, if you're in a competitive space, and if it's going to help you in some form, it doesn't, it makes perfect sense to pay some money. All these are available. So you pay
a difference to the brands, actually. Does these listings make a difference to the brand or the value addition they give to the consumers?
In my opinion, it's a question mark. I don't think there is hardcore data to say whether it helps or hardcore data to say it doesn't help. So I'll give you a lousy answer, which is it depends.
Ulka offer this, sir?
Pardon?
Does your agency also offer this?
We don't. We in fact advise our clients to think twice before doing it. But look, if it's a commodity category, it helps you to put it on your steel pipes, go ahead, it doesn't cost too much. So go ahead and do it, but I have my doubts.
See, today,
We'll make this the last question.
the mid-sized agencies, operate out of a sense of insecurity. So I'm saying all those principles, what you are talking about, stick your neck out, don't look for short-term gains and all that. Is it really possible to practice such things if you're a mid-sized agency?
Let me put your doubts to rest. The insecurity feeling and the size of the agency are directly correlated. The bigger agencies actually feel more insecure than mid-sized agencies. So it's up to you. If you can be the head of India's largest agency but still feel very insecure, right? Because you have 1,500 people salary to pay, right? It's a feeling, it's a huge sense of insecurity. But at the same time you say, no, I'm a large agency, I'll therefore stick my neck out, right? So I don't think just because, some of the most gutsy people are in small agencies. And a lot of people believe that as you become bigger, you become more insecure. So you're asking the opposite question, right? No, I think as you become bigger, you have more worries to keep you awake. Right? You're smaller, I think you can be more, more confident in what you say. So I don't fully agree with what you said. I'm not saying I don't think you can hire 3 account executives and put them into the field to do market research. No, you can't. But you can do some of this. Maybe not all. Okay. Yeah. One last question. Yeah.
Is this working? Yeah. Now, at one level, there are a lot of things which agencies can do to really improve this client-agency relationship. But there is one thought which I had, which is that, given the fact that, the business environment has changed, we are
in this whole quarterly reporting thing. It's very competitive. Now, in that context, aren't agencies in a structurally weak position given this question that you can work with only one client in one, that, what is that word? Yeah, you can only be in, you can't have two clients in the same category. If we somehow change that, do you think it would make a significant difference? Because then, right now, say for example, you go a small example. If you use a shampoo client in Chennai, now, or there is no other shampoo client in Chennai you can get. Okay. Maybe a Bombay office can get one. Now, while in the larger picture, all that is, it kind of evens out. The fact is, in smaller markets, you constantly face issues like that. Or for that matter, I remember I was working in a large agency recently. We had this large shampoo business here, and our, none of us actually even realized. And suddenly everybody woke up one day and said one of us lost it. So, but it in no way made any difference to the other in terms of sharing information or now. For instance, if it were actually possible to break that structure, like consulting firms do, then would it be more possible for agencies who are better to actually command significantly higher premiums, be more secure, because I can go to somebody and say I know shampoos well, I'll take 5. And will force somebody else to say, okay, I'll work harder.
Yeah, I think your question is a tough one, okay? Because I believe 2 is a conflict, 3 is competency.
Conflict, that's the word.
Okay? 2 is a conflict, 3 is a competency. But the problem is that if you can create structures where you can handle multiple clients in the same category, you can do that. But often you have to have your loyalty to a particular firm. Right? Even in consultancies, if a particular consultant group, okay, is working on, let's say, healthcare, okay, that consultant will not consult with another healthcare company for a particular period of time, could be 6 months, 1 year. So if you can create structures, I think it's workable, right? But I don't think that's going to solve your fundamental problem. Fundamental problem has to be solved by putting in place processes and people and systems which will live the value addition paradigm. If you still don't have the guts to stand up, if you still undercut each other, if you still cut corners, if you still pick up business at any price, if you still don't believe in value add, if you still believe that you're just a vendor, that's not going to work. That is a fundamental thing you have to change. But you have to move from believing that you are a vendor of creative to believing I am a business partner.
No, my only point is that you are a business partner, but the structure also has to help you. In the sense that previously it was different. Today the structure has changed. So in a situation where there is a power story, right, where there is a genuine, and we are talking about, let's say India's #1 agency. I was sitting in a meeting with, at that time they were, one of the top agencies, where one of the creative guys stood up and said, look, we are some big kings here, we are scared to go and ask the client for 1 rupee more. There's something wrong somewhere. Right? So, yes, everybody has to stand up and stuff like that. And we are talking about clients who've been there for 20 years, 25 years. Right? So, somewhere, if I'm not allowed, where there is a fear of, let's say, for whatever reason, a client wields a certain power because of this conflict thing. Isn't there, the world has changed. So, shouldn't advertising agencies and the AAAs, etc., be strongly lobbying for it? So, there are fewer agencies making more money. In say in a city like Chennai, every agency exists, and there just isn't that business.
We need to figure out where to get the business, right? Well, some of you will
theoretically that's true, but the fact everybody is trying, but there isn't.
That problem, the problem which you are talking about, has already been solved by global holding companies. Okay, holding companies have created a structure to handle conflict, right? So they've solved it. So you do the same thing in Chennai. You create different shops which have Chinese walls and handle, like we have in America, we have a very large healthcare company in New York, but they operate under 4 names in 4 different offices, and they are rocking. they're pioneers in digital detailing. So you do that. You create your Chinese walls, create your independent units, and leverage common learnings. Certain things which you know, which can be shared, you share. Rest, you give that client the dedication and the commitment which he wants. So it's not. I'm sorry, it's not an easy question to answer. So I know I'm tap dancing, which is fine. So thank you very much.
It was like a crash course in relationships of agencies and clients. It was a very big privilege to have you here. I have to thank our constant supporters, our sponsors, Hindu, and I request Mr. Kalidas of Hindu to please felicitate them.